gauntly and falling to Chaos, which is surprisingly a very tough team, proving to be a very tough team, a tough nut to crack in Europe, is not really that shameful, to be honest. It really is not at all. But here, Red Devils are definitely on the back foot. Not only
what's
with
hates Thatcher today? Are we gonna have 4 matches in a row with no Thatcher? I mean, I know he gets more and more important the more gadgets he can get. Like, you know, we're continuing to add ones. You know, Kaed obviously in the previous one, and then now Mozzie. But still, there's a lot of hate for the poor guy. We're definitely gonna need a Thatcher alternative at some point. But it surprises me to see the lack of Twitch to sort of compensate. Thermite there goes one hard breacher.
There's your Thatcher alternative, Twitch.
Yeah. Well, Thermite out of play means Hibana, much more important on this. Or even Maverick, I suppose, but that's not so great for Armory Wall.
Yeah, you can probably run both, or only the Hibana. It really depends on what sort of attack you're looking for. But again, the flexibility of having the two is always a nice thing. Plus, the Maverick is just an overall very powerful and flexible operator.
Is this going to be Mira Echo every time?
Yep. Okay, so that's a recurring...
Might as well just quarantine them at this point so you can ban someone else.
Is this EU?
Right? It's just... I mean, it's unfortunate to see operators pretty much relegated to the bin most of the time. Defense pretty much then is... you know, if that's what they're defending most of the time on defenders, then that's going to be the case where all these other defenders are now available because those are pretty much locked down. We are going to see that Twitch come out from the newer player here on Red Devils to try and help, as well as that Hibana as to open things up. And then, of course, Soft Destruction coming out from both the Zofia and the Sledge. And that Kaed, not combined with the Bandit, but combined with the Mute, will be able to do a good job here in terms of stopping some of the hard walls from being opened.
You go for Vendor Workshop, so you're probably going to put the Kaed upstairs, really, to hold on to the armory. It's, again, the similar top-down defense that we saw even on Cafe, and it's going to be a project, really, for every single map and every single reworked map. Just making sure that the vertical play is available, but it also forces defenders to play from the top floor, not really just turtle down on the site itself.
Interesting that they're going to go to Vents first when Thatcher is banned. Like, you ban Thatcher, usually you play off that on the Armory wall and take advantage of that, but instead going to Vents first, where Thatcher's not necessary, it's interesting first choice.
You can try.
No, I mean, there's obviously a strategy behind it. It's certainly not just randomly chosen, but curious to see why that particular choice. I mean, obviously you do soft to defend Armory to an extent anyways, to try and stop them from getting that top-down control, so I suppose there is that aspect. Because, of course, you don't want Sledge just coming on in there and tearing up the floors. Some angles being opened up there with the ACOG pistol from the Kaed. We're going to see a little bit of rotation. Still some late setup being done here. But we'll see if those shock drones are able to do any work in terms of taking out the Mute Jammers and the Electro Claws. Help things out, but they've got to try and get this top floor controller in a decent pace and not lose too many people on it is pretty much the name of the game in terms of taking this bomb site, because most of the time, if you just lose too many people upstairs, taking the bottom just becomes too difficult because of all the controlled ways you have to rotate into that room, whether that be hatches or doorways. Generally, they're going to anticipate you entering.
Okay, free ADSs there being picked up, 2 of them by the Twitch. Yeah, you mentioned it. Zipper's just grabbing the Twitch in this situation. So far, it's a decent chunk of utility that's been taken away, but still no clear on the players using CCTV. Yep, they'll make sure there's somebody in there. Flashbangs, 2 of them here. The players have already rotated away. You have control of the hallway. You have control of the hallway into Armory, and the hatch is left unreinforced, which is completely fine in this case. You'll have complete control of jail and the entire bottom area here for security. So overall, this is very, very well done by Red Devils, just wasting no time grabbing as much map control as possible, and they force NIP back.
They're just trying to lock down the rotate, but I like the flank coming here from Midi. But he's going to take a lot of damage, but he's trying to put pressure on as best he can while the top is being controlled and taking out camera as well, it looks like. Clear. It's going to be very helpful here in helping getting this open, but the loss there is huge. That might have just been an electrical gem, but one of the Red Devils members gets down to the Zion, as well as the kill on Psycho, and Pino trading it back for 2.
One on the floor already, finished off, well done. Pre-fires right into the wall, but at least he knows that there's nobody that can fire up behind him. Nitrocell will miss its target on Velvet. And Pino is still available and at full HP. Velvet taking a bit of damage there on the Ingress. He tries to walk up right close to the Jaeger. Finally will drop him, but Moosey has already gotten one. Pulls up the pistol, and it's Moosey to win it out. The AUG not always doing much work for the Clotheads of the world, but here you are. It's a bro left alive for Red Devils. He's got to deal with the last 3 available. Kamikaze should have a shotgun here, pointed right at the entry, and this will give all the information necessary. You hear a couple shots rolling off, and Abro is somehow still alive. He takes damage, but it's Muzi to finish things off. Spitting hot fire, little Muzi, the 3K.
Good start there for Ninja Pyjamas. A lot of flexibility being shown from them in terms of retaking map control, taking advantage of every kill that they made in terms of playing it against Red Devils, and Red Devils just seeming to be a bit of a slow start for them. They didn't seem to be super on top of the kills you saw, especially their Abro at the end, just seeming a little lost, trying to do what he can, but I think it was a little bit lost at that point. But now we're going to see the armory lockers, see how they're going to defend this, because this is going to be the more interesting one, is do they attack from the office's side, or do they try and use that Twitch drone to help open things up? Because, of course, that's going to be anticipated, I imagine, by Ninja's Pyjamas. They could even be using the Maestro Evil Eye to take out the Twitch drone so that they don't have to have someone in risk, in harm's way. And that's important because, of course, the Twitch drone itself is the most likely counter to that Evil Eye. So we could see a little battle of the little shock zaps in the near future here. And we'll see they're, of course, going to reinforce as much as they can. In this case, they're actually going to reinforce the entire office's wall, just try and slow down any potential approach from that side, as they're more likely to do so with the Thatcher out of play and the ability to deny that wall. But they're not going to bring the Kaed or mute just the Bandit to completely rely on that, which is an interesting choice because you've got quite a bit to protect. You've got the armory wall as well as the office's wall, which I'm not even sure they've reinforced the armory wall yet. It was hard to see from this angle if there was the little brackets in there. Muzi and Pino definitely doing good work for Ninja's Pyjamas, though. And the setup's still going on here. Hopefully he doesn't cross and get shot doing that, but I like the deployable shield there to help him hold CCTV in the meantime. No rotating. No, they kept the entire armory wall soft. Very interesting choice here without that Thatcher and not completely taking advantage of it.
Because they're relying on CCTV, right?
Yeah.
That's really the logic behind it, but CCTV, usually you're not really holding on to it for the entirety of the round, or maybe they're looking for something different. Yeah, we'll just have to check that out. Depends on how the attack from Red Devil is going to come in. There's no rotation hall, I believe, from CCTV into the hallway, but there is a reinforcement to block off half of it. Sharpers to move in, open things up. The attack will probably commence and enter from Red Devils from this side here. They only have the Habana, obviously, because the Thermite is banned, but not having the Thatcher, they really have to rely on the Zofia to lob anything over the wall, and Julio is ready to get the information. He's afraid of a drone here being used at the top floor, but there's none to be found.
This has become such a popular spot. No, the ADS doing some work. C4, unfortunately, just as useful as that flashbang was. So they're going to be able to approach a lot more safely here, but they're pretty stacked up. That C4 definitely could have done some serious damage with all the players basically at the top of this east stairwell spread out along those offices wall. They really need to get that wall open. This is clearly the focus for them. So that Bandit did make the right choice in putting his batteries on that wall. Has one spare as well, not that he's going to necessarily need it. And they're expecting him to try and do something to be able to counter, but the C4 was basically all he had. Capital, I mean, could stop him from rotating back over there, but doesn't matter there. Pino, the first to go down, and that's the Maestro. That's a big pick now. You don't have to depend as much on the shock drones to take out those Evil Eyes, as they might just be facing the ground.
It's a big kill on the Maestro, for sure. Zion can use stock crossbow for the entry on the site. Midi will find one on Kamikaze. Just tapping away. The entirety of the B site, or the A site there in the back, is opened up in the armory. There's nobody in it. A big kill on the smoke as well. So Red Devils should be noticing very soon that this site is kind of clear for them. They can enter at will at any time they wish. Bennett charges will get taken down as well. The entry into Archives, Brow will just go for the plant, but Psycho from below will connect with a Nitro Cell. Should be a second one here for Julia to use. No, he already used it before. I'll have to correct myself. Diffuser's not being set. Is not. Zion is looking for something, but no, he opens himself up to Muzi, who gets the kill. Psycho with one of his own. Midi firing in with the SMG-11, too difficult to control. 20 seconds left. Velvet, Zofia, full HP, will try to enter into the site, but there is a camera right in front. He goes in for the fake drone, but he has to walk on in and take that diffuser. So Valkyrie camera finally taken away, but all the information's already been set. Velvet will have to go for the plant, and as he's heard, NIP will know exactly where he's at, and Muzi will go for the peak. Velvet to go down. NIP figure things out here on the attack, and they kind of forced their opponents. It's very odd to say this, Devin. Because there were soft walls, it forced the attackers to go the other way.
I mean, it didn't force them. There's definitely ways they could have played that, but it was certainly encouraging them to play it the way that Ninjas and Pyjamas wanted them to, and that was really a big problem there for Red Devils, is having to play into the way that Ninjas and Pyjamas wanted the round to play out. Obviously, they set up for it. They were prepared for that. Thankfully, at least for Red Devils, the C4 didn't do its damage. That could have been a big, big blow. And I got to give Red Devils some credit, though. With the foe they're up against, I think they're still doing fairly decent. They just cannot get close to closing out these rounds. That was fairly close, I guess, in a 1v2, but unfortunately he had to plant. If he had been on the defensive side, maybe that would have gone a little bit differently. But I think Red Devil's definitely not out of this yet. Ninjas and Pyjamas, though, also just getting warmed up. And we'll see how Customs goes here for their third bomb site rather than Bathroom Tellers. So far, though, NIP are 2 for 2. And we'll see if this ends up being a defensive-sided match or just the case where NIP's just playing very well today. We will have, again, that Twitch drone. Might be useful there for both the Mute Jammers and the Evil Eyes, as well as the Black Eyes, even, I suppose, or the ADS. So I suppose pretty much everything except for Doc's gadget can be taken out by those, so.
So, 2 drones lost in the beginning. Still, a lot of focus on the Twitch.
Yeah.
It has had a decent chunk of success, taking down a lot of utility. We've seen it a few times, but utility really hasn't been the big thing that's stopping Red Devils, has it?
No, it's definitely not been the case. It's just they're not able to get enough high-quality map control in terms of getting into good positions and being able to get those kills and control on Ninja Pyjamas. It just seems like NIP is mostly in control of the map during most of their defense. That being said, though, Red Devils are still doing a good job of getting at least some picks, getting some control. Like the early pick onto the Maestro last time was a great start for them. It's just the case they couldn't capitalize on that more. Usually trying to go for full ACOG use there. Going to give away his position, though, with that tap shot. However, they're not really going to do a lot to put pressure on him from the doorway. It's just entirely on him holding this angle. And it's going to be down to timing on his shots.
He's got Psycho as well to support him, so Psycho in the meantime is just checking his cameras the entire time, and Muzi will come in and take control of the situation. Utility being used by the Capitao, and it is directed at Psycho, who just moves away, has again the support of Muzi. So they're kind of just both playing together. Healed up back to max HP, but NIP are being pushed here. Midi will find the kill on Muzi. Refract from Psycho, 2 for Psycho. That's pretty darn huge here for the Valkyrie. The Capitao and the Sledge taken away. Abrao will find one on Pino and eliminate a pretty heavy hitter here in the Maestro. Flashbangs will be thrown out into the Valkyrie, but Psycho perfectly played. The Experience so close to find one in the back as well. Damage done to the Zofia, but not enough to take her out just yet. Goes in for the pre-fire in the peak. More damage done to the Zofia. Pre-fires into one, but it's Julio to commend it and find it on Velvet. Very well done there. Leaves Mr. Cypress all on his own.
Well, I got 3 things to say about that. Psycho, Psycho, Psycho.
It's a reference for the non-OGs right there. It's the Jaeger, the Mute, and the Valkyrie. Last 3 alive, and Cypress has to continue on and drone, and at least there's something that you can find at the end. That's the Maestro camera. It's some redemption, but there's so much that you have to deal with. Utility being thrown all around Cypress, and it's really scaring him right now. Remember, this is the newcomer really to the squad. He's unsure of what to face on the opposite end here as he's going to ferry his shock drone around. Maybe. There you go. Should be able to spot. No,
the wrong way.
He'll turn around. They already escaped. They're just toying with Cypress.
No.
Oh, no.
This feels a little depressing to watch almost. He's just going to be struggling and looking around manually. No drones. No help from teammates here. All on his own. Sweating.
Nitro cells going off all around Cypress, and every angle here being held off by Julia. Cypress will dive down. He's got diffuser, 10 seconds left. He's got to deal with Julia upstairs, but he's taking way too long to move in. Everything's closed up. There you go. There's no time at all for him to do anything. Save the up, my friend. He'll find 1 kill. That's a bit of stat padding, and NIP will get a free round here. Round 3 all held onto CCTV, it looks like. This team is pretty darn happy with it.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, while they did manage to get the kill on Amuzi, their over-focus on CCTV unfortunately cost them. I know CCTV, obviously very critical to taking customs. But it also doesn't have to be the first thing you take. You can take a bit more of the top floor map control and stop things like Psycho's rotate, for example. You need to have maybe a little bit more. Take some of the, as Kixon and Terra would say, free real estate that you can get that they're not controlling on that top floor, and use that to start put pressure from multiple angles. Putting everything into CCTV like that, you're guaranteed to lose some people and trying to make that happen. Yeah, I mean, extra manpower is great, but they're going to fight back pretty strong, so they really need to find some ways to get some, to take their picks and turn them into a bit more, because they're actually doing a decent job getting a pick here or there. Just capitalizing on that seems to be the big weakness. They're going to try a Finka this time, and that should be interesting to see if that helps with this push on events, which is the primary bomb site, it seems, for Ninjas in Pyjamas. But they've been successful on all 3 of their bomb sites, so they're just going to have to do the old tour again if they keep it up. We are going to see Cypress back on that Twitch again as well. And I think one of the first real changes here for Ninjas in Pyjamas is the Pulse, which will be interesting to see where he plays, whether he's going to play it safer in sight or play on a bit of a more roam role. And we'll see. A lot of times a Pulse for the site will play upstairs and then rotate back later as needed. Psycho and Muzi there doing quite well. Kamikaze actually surprisingly low, and Pino as well. Both those guys are very strong players.
We'll see what happens with Zion here playing the Finka. Definitely got to be a scary operator to come up against. And I really want to understand, like, why is Red DevilS really going for this operator? What is it a response to?
Yeah, I mean, it's just got to be a case of we've got to find a different way to crack Ninjas in Pyjamas. We need to be able to shut down some of their confidence, some of their ability to play on that map control. We've got to do something to just counter their ability to freely move about the map. And that's going to come from some aggressiveness. It's going to come from some pushing in, like I said, taking that map control that they give you, taking down some of the players like they've been able to do, but then capitalizing on that and not just letting, like, slowing down after that. It seems like Red DevilS maybe even have a little bit of pacing problem. I mean, thankfully they're not getting too desperate on time, but some of that's because they're dying too early to really worry about time so much. We'll see if the Pulse is also going to slow things down a bit for them, and that he's going to be able to identify the way that they're moving and take some of the map control, use it against them possibly as well. And the Mute Jammer's, of course, going to deny some of the drone play, as well as the ump. And they seem to be struggling a little bit with that Buck rotating up and down here, trying to figure out how they want to approach this. They have the nice floor destruction if they can get control of this top floor, but again, slow in doing so. Not sure that Red DevilS are going to have the pacing needed to win this, because they have to take top and bottom floor. It's not just a single attack from a single horizontal angle like it would be onto Armory.
Yeah, unless you're really rushing in.
Yeah, the desperate hatch drops.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that viable of a strategy. There's a lot of things that have been opened up here by Red DevilS, at least with whatever utility they're able to use earlier on in the round. But their ingress is really going to be thwarted, at least theoretically, pretty easily by NIP, but really just holding their ground. I mean, there's not much in terms of vertical space that's being used. It all relies on the Finka giving everybody the boost and just walking on in and hoping for the best.
Yeah. Well, luckily for them, at least there's not a lesion, because those goo mines are a real problem for the boosts. There we go. A nice early kill again. They're good at getting those. Now they need to capitalize on that, but 45 seconds left to do so.
Zion will heal on in, and he's going to heal up his entire team as well. Kamikaze has been taken down. That's something. Julio as well eliminated. Midi with a double kill for the round, and Cypress, he finds the call on Psycho. Suddenly this is all kind of coming together, but there's 25 seconds left, and Pino might be able to stop the diffuser. Oh no, if only he had the other angle on him. No, he runs away. At least the diffuser has been thwarted for just a second. Zion, that's the wrong guy. Bro will find Muzi, and everything will pop right in the face of Pino. The diffuser's not been set just yet. 10 seconds left. Pino trying to play ball with his opponents. He drops right into the welcoming arms and welcoming rifle of Velvet. As the attacking side, Red DevilS finally will grab around.
And good on them. That was a much more well-played round. Obviously, the team kill, not the highlight for them of that round, but other than that, the adrenaline boost seeming to work a little bit in terms of helping them get that control. They did manage to capitalize off that first kill. Some of that was, it looked like a little more careful plotting in terms of determining how to take that map control and move a little bit further in, although it was a bit slow. But also a little bit less, I suppose, aggressiveness from Ninjas in Pyjamas coming out. They were playing a little bit more time. But I mean, Ninjas in Pyjamas did manage to go for a lot of retake stuff. They started retaking a lot of the map. You saw them take control of that top floor again and almost bring it back that way. Just Red DevilS able to win too many gunfights at the end despite that. Although, I got to imagine that's more of a one-off round. I feel like Ninja's Pyjamas are still going to have the advantage here. And that 6th pick from Psycho, Valkyrie to Valkyrie, that's the real game changer. We'll see if that choice of Finka a second time in a row is the right one. Now, they had to have known what the site order was going to be, so they know that it either is going to be Vents again or going to be upstairs here, most likely on Armory. So the question is, do they then attack this top floor from Armory side or continue to play into the offices game? Now, with Finka, you're also bringing the LMG, it seems, and they could, I suppose, with that soft wall, just lay into it and hope to get some lucky shots if anyone's playing on the other side of the soft wall if they leave it soft again.
You know, the big problem, I think, again, is going to be securing CCTV.
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of a struggle for them, but also because they leave the ability to rotate from the door of Armory over to CCTV, giving them the ability to play back and forth. Cutting that off would definitely be an advantage. You see Zion looking over that way right now. There we go, shooting the speaker. The most
Thank you, Velvet.
Yes,
Thank you. If you do this in your ranked casual plays or whatever when you're playing the game, you are
a superstar.
A superstar.
That's right. It's very important.
Well, Psycho's just going to dive on back here. He still has Muzi to support him. We saw it before, having the Doc plus the Valkyrie worked out pretty darn well. A lot of work was done by Psycho on it.
Yeah, we'll see if he can repeat that success this time. He's a very, very good player, though, so it doesn't surprise me to see him pulling that off. And we see a lot of Valkyrie players, for example, just with those really crazy plays out of nowhere. I mean, Laxing, for example, is someone that I think of like that. But it looks like they are going for, again, the opposites take.
Loading new mag.
So this, I don't know, this seems predictably risky here. I want to see, though, if that C4 comes out from Julia. Oh, it sounds like that went off. They might have tried to bait that out with a Velvet. But good on them in managing to escape it yet again. Maybe just not good enough intel or timing. They really need to wait a bit longer, I think, before using that C4. Might be using it a little too aggressively, a little too early. Let's see if Red Devils can pick up the pace a little bit. Oh, Julio.
Very well done. He even dives on down. There's a Claymore here to shut him out. I'm not sure if the Zofia will just fight against him. I wouldn't do this if I were you. Julio just trying to play up the stairs. There's a Claymore up there, so he won't move in. And he's trying to bait his opponents into him, really. And at least, no, what are you doing? Velvet giving Julio a free kill and a third one. Oh, Julio, are you kidding me? Those are just given away for free. What are you doing?
Well, Julio definitely picking that up. That was not the best play by Velvet. And what would potentially be an important operator later on, not necessarily because of utility, but just because of good fragging power. At least they've still got 2 Adrenal Surges, right? That should be the savior of this round, not to mention 1x Cairo and 3 stuns. All the utility they need to find 4 players that are all very frag happy, I imagine, at some point here.
I don't think they are undead. I don't think you can, like, bring them up from the dead as a necromancer. That's not what Finka does, right?
Isn't that what Necrox does?
He's a necromancer.
Yeah.
He is. He's usually the guy that survives the most, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unfortunately, yeah, you can't raise them from the dead. Yeah, I mean, if they had been downed, obviously...
Giving him ideas for stops.
Just a slow peak on that one.
Bro, with one, Psycho and Kamikaze will finish him off. And that's it. NIP put a 4th round on the board here. This was just...
Yeah. Let's hope for Red Devil's sake, though, that they've got a bit stronger defense than they have on an offense. I mean, obviously... I got to imagine the Thatcher ban is something that maybe hurt them a little bit because they seem to not maybe have as strong of attacks against it, dealing with that. We saw that, obviously earlier, how much that Thatcher ban paid off on Clubhouse in terms of Team 1 just fully exploiting it. Could be a similar case here. They could be looking to just exploit that as much as possible on the defense before a side switch, which, of course, will happen after this round. So this is the last chance from Red Devils to make their attacks work, and then 4-2. If it ends in a 5-1, it's going to be probably a very short second half without a huge comeback coming from Red Devils. And Vents, again, being an opportunity here, this is still a strong bomb site for them. They don't have to go to customs because the way things shake down, because they lost the one time, they can close out with this potential 5-1 if they can succeed on it this time.
That's still the big question. I had one round that Red Devils was able to take, and it was very effective, but then the round, literally right after, they make the most mind-boggling decision I've yet to see.
Well, I got to imagine they will not repeat that one, but you never know. They might just be a little out of their element at the moment.
Yeah, try to swanton bomb your opponent from the top floor, the top rope. On the top rope, look out below, and then the next thing you know, you're dead on the float. It's not great.
It's not great. That's one way to put it. Some good kills coming out there overall if you look at the score from Ninjas and Pyjamas, but it's not surprising given the 4-1 scoreline right now. A lot of holes being opened up themselves through the floor there, which, you know, saving Midi some work, I suppose, who's just kind of standing still, I guess, waiting for them to finish the destruction for him. But we did see last time, sometimes the angles definitely making a huge difference in terms of how useful those holes in the floor could be, same with the vent, or the hatches. But now the drone's coming out here to try and start clear some map. They really need to follow those up and shut Psycho down, especially here. So it looks like he could be going for a potential big play, but they are pretty stacked up, so it'd likely be more of a trade. And he's droned, so peace out.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of Psycho's impressive plays, especially at the Vegas Minor. He was an instrumental part for NIP, and definitely something to be afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, he's inappropriately named then.
Psycho.
No.
Crazy or crazy like a fox.
Again with an offices push here, although this time for vents, so it's not... I mean, it's the more appropriate approach. We did see them actually trying to take a little bit different tack before. Julio, though, roaming pretty freely. Hopefully that was the right grenade bounce there. And they are at least managing to get top floor control. The problem is they are not able to hold it generally. Usually Ninjas and Pyjamas will be able to rotate back up at some point if they can't hold it. They're not bringing anything to control that. They could be bringing a Nomad. They could be bringing a Gridlock. They're not taking full advantage of flank control operators. And I think that's a little bit of a problem for them. But Cypress does use his gun just fine to take down Psycho. And as we said, that's an important early kill.
Yeah, and actually that's a very good point that you touch on. Muzi actually snipes Smitty with his 44 mag all the way across.
He doesn't feel lucky.
Yeah, that's not fun. Velvet's taking quite a bit of damage as well on the Zofia, so not so great suddenly, even though RDevilS had that early kill on Seiko. Now, you touched on this, but you know, why are we seeing no Dokkaebi, no Jackal, no Lion in this situation? If there's so much roam play that's happening at NIP and it's really slowing you down, why not just grab literally the things that deal with it?
I mean, a buck and a sludge is a bit redundant. Yeah, you want some grenades, but bring some flank control. At least, though, Cypress, again, with his second kill, using that F2 for some good work, even if his shock drones aren't necessarily doing a ton for him. This is working out okay. They have man advantage, but down to 30 seconds, they've got to get downstairs again.
A 5-1 is going to be a huge advantage here for NIP, but Cypress will finally be shut down, but not before he finds a kill on Pino. So all turned around, 3v2 advantage for RDevilS, but Velvet is very low on HP, and he finally uses his last bit of utility. Damage will be done with a goo mine onto Zion as he goes in, and a fire onto the Zofia. Muzi, very well done here. Kamikaze watching for any rotation via the B site, or at least in the center. No, they're directly on B. They're going to go for the plant. Abro is being watched by above. No time left. This is the moment for Kamikaze to move in, but do they know where he's at? They're not on B, Kamikaze. You have to look the other way. He finds 1 and 2, and here we go. Kamikaze cleans it all up. They disable the diffuser as well. NIP secure the 5th round on the board, and there you have it. 5-1 at the half. Massive plays from the Ninjas. It's all just beautiful flank play. Nobody watching.
Oh, well, what if you had an air jab or, you know, some tracks or something right there, huh? Or even just a bunch of claymores at this point. Unfortunate, I gotta say. Just they could have just stopped it, because Kamikaze seemed totally lost for a minute there. I really didn't think he was gonna clutch it, and then he just walks in and is like, "Oh, there you guys are. You're dead." Like, what?
Well, there was no time left.
Yeah.
They had to stick it, and the second player, the Sludge in that situation, had to get the fight. He dropped one player, but he can't 360, well, he can't 180 turn around and get the kill on the player coming down with the ventilation.
Come on, you can. We've seen more than enough players at this level.
Olo hasn't played yet.
That's true. Anticipation for tonight.
Yes.
There's the Monty, though. I was talking earlier about wanting to see some shield play come back from Latin America. Now that we're going to see Nip on attack, well, no surprise then that that's going to be the team to bring out the shield. The Monty here set up for... Okay, so I was talking before about when we had the Double Hard Breacher ban in this recent Vegas Minor. by Secret, and they used that with the Monty to push in through the doorway, similar to what we'd seen in EU with Hicks on the Fuse Shield, pushing through that door.
Back in the day.
And it worked very well for Team Secret. It was a situation where they didn't have the ability to breach because of lack of double hard breachers, but maybe we're seeing a similar situation. You know, the Thatcher, all right then, forget it. Just walk in through the door with the shield. Like I said, it worked very well for Team Secret, not as well for the stream, so maybe that's what they're going to be channeling here, whether they were watching that or not. I mean, they were there, so they absolutely could have been paying close attention to, hey,
it would make
this
sense.
Is the finals, this is a winning play. Taking a note, taking a note. I mean,
is it that or we go out on the Vegas Strip?
Yeah.
One or the other.
Odds later. But the thing is, though, of course, this may be the only attack round we even see from Nip. So we might not even see if it's a big thing they want to do regularly, because if they succeed with it this time, that's the end of this match.
No. Remember, it's 7.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 7. Sorry. Going up. As far as I'm concerned, that's practically, at a 6-1, that's practically the end of the match.
7-1 is the thing you're looking for, of course. It's been a long time since you've been here, Devin, right?
Ages. Back in my day, you just had to get 2 points.
They played casual in Pro League.
Hey, there was house and plane when I started. So.
Oh, yes.
In Favela once, we had the one Favela match.
Oh, I remember that clip of King George saying that it's a great competitive map. Boy, things have changed. That aside.
All right, it looks like they are going for that strategy, though, with the Monty. A lot of this comes down to baiting them out and then taking advantage of it.
I mean, not having the smoke is not a great spot to be in if you're Red Devils. It definitely would have been great to have them.
Oh, yeah, especially here. That's a real huge missing piece. I mean, they have the Evil Eye and some C4.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice
No
try.
damage, but at least that takes down the bandit batteries, right?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Should have been able to bounce the grenade around. Flashbang in from Kamikaze to push the bandit away, but it takes a bit of fire from the back. This Cypress that's putting himself behind the lockers. Still unable to decide on what to do here, but the half-wall at least can be dealt with by using the buck in ventilation. A bit of pre-fire from the bandit, but there's nothing that can be done. They still need to take down those batteries.
Now, a big problem here is, if anything, Ninjas are the only ones actually who've taken any damage, and they have yet to get much map control from this, and it's already 2 minutes in. This is actually not a great start. I mean, yes, they haven't lost anyone, but they're close to losing their hard breacher, and they're still trying to control this. And then Zion just hanging out. Like, okay, I'll just wait. There's 50 seconds coming. This buck could be the victim of Zion here soon, depending on the timing.
Hey, just dropping around and playing in security. There's nobody really to deal with him. He's going to reveal his position, though, at least in terms of audio.
And Pino, it seems, aware.
Looking in, he doesn't have a grenade. No, he does have one, so he already used only one of them. But he downstairs that can move in. A Brow will connect. Another Nitro cell. Not yet. He's waiting for the call. The fuse has not been picked up. He finds the buck. Well done by Midi. Bit sloppy there, but that's all he needed. Muzi and Julio, last two alive. There's 20 seconds left, and Nitro cell will go off. Muzi will not be able to connect with 2 players in the back. Just a bit of damage done. Julio trying to ingress in here from the B-bomb site. That grenade will be eaten up by the ADS. There's no time really to think about things. Another grenade through the backup, find 1 kill. Muzi with another one. They try to fire down. It's Velvet and Brow, the last 2 alive. The drops 1, and Velvet turns around for the 2. Julio Muzi going down. We're on 7 to go the way of Red Devils, so they grab their second round on the board. They at least start to inch their way back into this matchup.
Well, maybe it's a little defensive heavy. Gotta say, though, Nip bringing out the shield and then just seeming to have no real follow-up. Like, all we really saw of that plan was, all right, guys, the plan is I'm going to stand in the doorway. I'm like, that part executed nearly flawlessly. He lived most of the round and stood in the doorway. So, well done, I suppose, on that aspect. It's, you know, the downstairs play, for example, that was just completely lacking. He had the buck, did manage to get 1 kill before he got taken out. But all the time he's standing there being just a stationary doorway, the defenders aren't just sitting there waiting. They're moving around to positions downstairs like Zion did, just taking advantage of it, being like, you guys don't really seem to have a follow-up, so we'll help you out with that. Which is interesting because, as you mentioned, they had no smoke to counter the Monty. So, of course, what's the obvious play? We'll go downstairs and hit him from below. Now, you saw the attackers trying to do that as well a little bit with trying to hit the nade from below to take out one of the defenders, but it's just... I love standing in a doorway. There needs to be a step 2, not just the question mark profit.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Draxon from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't see me.
I am a door. Like, yes, okay, you are a door. We get you. But now you're just looking like more of a knob at this point.
Oh, man.
We'll see how their custom defense is here, though. Surprised they didn't go to Vince second.
Oh, man. Devin. No, I missed you, man.
Oh, boy.
Michael took you away from me on day one.
That thief. All right, well.
It's a real heart knocker, heart sealer.
I'm glad you didn't stick with hard there. The second word wouldn't have paired the same way.
No. But Velvet is going to be playing in here alongside Midi. This is something we saw NIP playing on the defense in CCTV. It's a very powerful thing to do, but doesn't always really run well if the attackers are able to really use their Zofia stuns alongside the grenades. And NIP actually run the similar fashion of both the Buck and the Sledge, something we saw even their opponents playing.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you want those extra grenades. You've of course got to clear the ADSs first because there is Jaeger to play, but I got to imagine it's probably more than one ADS dedicated to there. But they're actually going for below, going to open up jail first. And no denial, well, some denial. Bro manages to deny some of the X-Kairos, but if there's any left. Unfortunately, there's no secondary hard destructor there, so it's all on Kamikaze whether or not he can do any work. And I don't think they want to risk crawling in there at the moment. We'll see, though, if Zion can do some work. They are a little bit spread out. Rather than going with 2 minutes CCTV, it looks like it might just be 1. And nope, Midi's going to rotate. I was thinking Psycho, right? Because it was a similar play, right? All Valkyries.
Valkyrie on order, it's Psycho. Oh, man, that's...
Julio, so close.
So at least a bit of damage done to Zion. It's 1 bullet to hit the foot.
Peanut trying to go around as well. They're really struggling to get the rest of map control, but that's exactly, it's a Musy, nice kill there. This is what I was saying that we lacked seeing from Red Devils, which was taking advantage of the flanking rather than focusing so heavily on CCTV. Flank it, surround it, control their ability to rotate into it or out of it before you try and execute on it. And it looks like they've pretty much abandoned it for the most part outside of the one player there who almost gets picked off. Kamikaze not quite on top of it, but Psycho definitely going to clean things up a little bit here. This is looking, as long as I can clear CCTV, which they just did, this is going very, very nip around here. And 1 more for Pino. It's all on Ebro.
He's has so much to do here. Pre-fires into the doorway. There's another one coming from the opposite end, and Julio will take a bro down. NIP secure round number 8. It's a flawless round for the team. They're 1 away here from total victory.
Yeah, I don't know if Customs was the great secondary choice. I think Vents probably would have been a smarter play. But nonetheless, it was still a good attempt there from Red Devils. It just got picked apart very quickly by doing exactly what I said Red Devils should have been doing. Because obviously, if you can't take the fights in CCTV, just don't right away. In this case, though, it didn't seem like they were controlling it as hard as well either. Like, Red Devils didn't seem to have as strong control of it, but partially due to the flank. They had to worry about the door behind them, whereas it didn't feel like Muzi had to as well, or as much when he was on that defense. Monty coming out again, nope, 6th pick away from that. And another castle here coming out from Red Devils as they go to bathroom tellers instead of vents. Avoiding vents, one of the best sites on the map. That seems like a curious choice, especially when you're this desperate. There goes the dough could be coming in. Choice there.
The Monty would have been great, actually, against this.
Yeah.
Could have been able to walk in from workshop.
I got to imagine they expected vents. Like, you know, you didn't expect this point for them to go bathroom tellers. Obviously, the castle was meant to hide that. The way they 6th picked that was meant to hide the fact that they're going. But you would go for a castle on vents as well. So I don't think that really hid much because you're going to use it either way. But I suppose they wanted to tease it. Maybe they were teasing playing customs again. I don't know. I mean, that's a big leap as well. But anyway, we will get the Buck and the Sledge combo again as well. We'll see how that works out for them.
Well, there's a lot of work to be done here by Red Devils. NIP losing 1 drone early on here, so it's one thing we'd like to keep track of more often, right? The amount of drones that are available and how they're being set.
Especially with Mozzie in play now.
Definitely. We actually haven't seen the operator being played at all today, so maybe in the last game, who knows?
Well, NA is later, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
As in today, not really today for us, but today for NA.
In the span of the next few hours.
Yeah. Back to back. Well, they are getting control of CCTV fairly quickly, but it's not as important for this particular attack. East stairwell definitely is. It doesn't seem like they want to actually try and control that too well yet. Of course, this is a bomb site that we've mentioned before. You have to control from above, both for the defenders and the attackers, because you don't want to try and just plant in tellers, of course, without control. Nice attempt at a grenade there, but man, Pino took a lot of damage in return. That window not quite working out for him, and there's no good way for him to hit into that sandwich there. So we'll see if they can get a little bit better control, but at least they have all those grenades to take care of it. Plus they got the smokes on board here from Psycho as well. He's going to peek the same angle that Pino just took a bunch of damage from, but they've already given up on peeking it. Nice C4 for Midi, takes Muzi out. And that is some Ash recharges. Oh, nice follow-up by Zion as well on a Psycho. This is actually working out very well from Red Devils. Could be seeing defensive comeback.
Another one as well. It's a double kill for Midi, so only 2 left. Julio and Kamikaze in for NIP. This whole roam play is very, very aggressive and very active from the defense. Zion to take down Kamikaze, leaving only Julio upstairs. At this point, there's not much that you can do. It's NIP that are kind of taking their time, thinking about what they've done wrong and to kind of come in and fix in the next round. I'm not sure if NIP were even expecting to attack into Bathroom Tellers, but Julio will dive on and he finds the headshot on Midi. Turns into a 4v1, pre-firing by the wall. So far hasn't been able to spot anybody. His opponents definitely are in and around him, but the diffuser is so far away by the eastern side. Walks on in, passport check, comes into the side for security, but Zion is ready and will find another kill for him. Red Devils secure round number 9, so it's not all over just yet.
I mean, I guess I'm not surprised to say this is defensive sided with a Thatcher and a Thermite band. I mean, that's kind of somewhat a given, but it's certainly working in Red Devils' favor now that they are on the defense. I mean, with the way they've been playing, they could come close to a draw. Obviously, they cannot win at this point. That's the big deal for Ninjas and Pyjamas. They've made sure to deny Red Devils a possible win, and the tie is actually starting to get closer. It's just surprising to see this comeback from Red Devils, but it seems like they've kind of figured out what they were doing wrong. They're starting to win more of their gunfights. They're playing some smart flanking, as you're saying. Their roam play definitely working out, using some of those 6 picks as well, though Velvet seems to be taking his time to decide what to switch to, and Julio gonna sneak in that Twitch drone there. And the Legion coming up. Now, we'll see how this goes for them as they can finally go back to Armory lockers.
I'm not sure they're expecting a Monty in this one. But overall, Legion is just great in general. Right?
Jackal coming out for the first time. We see so little Jackal now, mostly just because there's so many choices available.
So it's only in Latin America, though. I mean, you watch NA, there's a decent chunk of Jackal play, especially if you look at EG and Reciprocity. You look at a similar thing in Europe. I mean, Joystick basically plays Jackal or IQ whenever he doesn't feel like Ash, which is nowadays more often than not.
So he has a few choices.
Yeah, and a lot of people just run Jackal. He's a great operator, very underrated, and there was a time where he really has so much to offer and just not played at all.
Well, here's what I like. We're just talking about how much their roam was working out for Red Devils. What do you bring? Jackal.
Exactly.
So
that's how you adapt.
Yeah. Adaption, what? I mean, when you're on match point, adaption even more important. You don't want to end up in a situation where you let them come completely back and tie it. You just want to close it out. Obviously, the Monty was a bit of a gamble, didn't work out, so I'm glad they're not over sticking to it. It just seems like they need to maybe study Secrets plays a bit more to see what they were doing so successfully with that.
All right, the C8 will be used here to open things up, the entrance into jail. They're using the drone here to bait Midi out. A bit of damage actually done to Zion early on. I'm sure he was going to fight against somebody by...
Maybe he was bad and they just needed to slap him around a little.
Stop. Stop it right there.
Yeah. All right, well, there's a lot of reinforcements on this, though. They really want to keep CCTV. This is definitely like important to their strategy in holding this.
We'll see if Red Devils are going to be as effective as NIP were on this, because NIP were reinforcing both sides of the wall, so both of the possible reinforcements, whereas here it's only one, and it's only the one on the left, so they're looking to have support as well from Armory, even in their defense here. So they're not really foregoing themselves or directly looking to drop down and come back in from below.
It also works both ways, so if they try and rotate over to the door side as the attackers, you can hit them from the back.
It's very true. They work both ways. You know, running a grenade to the back and won't connect with anybody. A lot of time here being wasted, but Psycho finds Zion. Not sure if he was Jackal tracked or not. Video looking down into security. There's nobody in there, but the Buck is definitely trying to look out here for Velvet. There we go. Jackal tracking. We'll find one player upstairs. Midi, though, will find Psycho and take him away.
No more tracking.
Unfortunately there, with a minute 8, there's a lot of time being wasted by Red Devils. There's only one available. Midi will get taken away. Pino on the Buck will finish him off.
little too greedy. Man advantage to Ninjas of Pyjamas now.
Pino pre-firing up through the stairs and won't find any shots to connect on his opponent. Actually, Velvet is down on the floor. This is going to be finished off here by Muzi. Julia to walk on in. Muzi for the double kill as he rotates from behind, and Muzi finds the triple. The attacking side of NIP wins round number 10, and that's all she wrote for her third match of the evening. 7-3 victory for the Ninjas. Impressive plays for sure.
Well done by them. That was definitely a good series of rounds. Red DevilS, though, showing they had some potential there on those defenses, but eventually getting shut down. They did have a bit more potential once they shut down the Jackal as well to stop them from being tracked on the roams. But Red DevilS, I think, overplayed a little bit. You saw that peek from Midi down, for example, onto the hole that was created, a little overextending himself. But Muzi, 12 kills by him. It's just...
The newcomer. We said Pino is going to be the scary man now, but you add Muzi to the whole combination.
Well, you know, the roles have changed, I'm sure.
Yeah. The more they change, the more they just stay the same.
Right? Everyone gets their turn.
Even in BR6, NIP are at third place with 17 points, only behind Liquid and FaZe Clan. So it's not really surprising to see NIP perform at this level, especially against a team like their opponents here, Red DevilS. I mean, next time NIP will play against Black Dragons, so still technically an easier team to play against.
Well, we'll see how Black Dragons perform next. So
yes, that's very true.
We don't really know just yet. You know, they've not really had a lot of changes, but they definitely have taken the time to practice and get ready for the season. So might see some strong play from them.
Yeah, it's Black Dragons versus Immortals, so I guess we'll get ready in just a bit for that matchup. Not sure how close this will be. Immortals again with the representatives of Latin America in the Milan finals. That's our final match for the evening coming up in just a bit. Immortals versus Black Dragons to finish off plating number 1, Season 10 here, Latin America.